Hello. Hi. Right, can people hear me now? Still no sound. Hey Jason. Hey Raffas. How y'all doing today? There we go. Yep. So a little switch on my microphone got hit. It went into powered mode, which is for when you've got it connected into a phone or something. Sorry about that, folks. Right, so if you didn't hear me before, I've changed a bunch of stuff around. So we've now got the overhead camera, which is focusing on the main work. It's my old main camera, which is the Sony A5000. I've got a little head cam that's always going to be up in the corner, face cam, sorry, just so you can see me actually talk to you. You're going to see the side of my head quite a lot because I've got the screen up on the front here, and I've also got the second monitor up here. Other than that, we've worked on the X-axis last time, and before that we worked on the control case, electronics box, sorry. We started work on the Y-axis, which is this bit here. We're going to continue on that. That should be fairly easy to get finished today. And then we're going to go on to the Z-axis, hopefully. Right. So, opinions on the new format. Not new format, but the new camera angles. What does it look like to you? Oh. Any better, any worse? Right, I'm going to need some tools and some parts. Awesome. Looks good. Oh, cheers, guys. Cheers. Appreciate it. Right. So, what are we going to need? We are going to need some stuff from the LDO box, which is on the other side of the room. I'll be right with you guys. So, we're going to need some rails. We'll lead through at some stage. Hey, Bleach. How you doing? We'll need some nut blocks. Nut blocks, not nut blocks. You had what I was gonna. You know what I meant. What else am I looking for? I'll need some XY joiner plates as well, which are over here. What's everyone been up to today? We'll also need a motor. Okay, thanks for fiddling with my trident. I can't get it to print corners as sharp as it should be. How aggressive is your input shaping? All right, because input shaping is known to make corners less sharp. The higher your input shaping, the more aggressive your input shaper, sorry, the less sharpness you'll see in corners and things like that. And you could also be a pressure advance issue. Right. We also have all of our fasteners at once. It's so nice having this much space. It really is. Not having to constantly put stuff on the floor to get at it. To have access to it. Awesome. We need one last piece. That is these. Don't forget to put the music back on. Awesome. Right. Let's see whether Jake will struggle with the XY plate. Also, input shaping is NZV, so not aggressive, and axle is low. Fair enough. Could be a pressure advance value issue. Then it could be a lot of things, but you know. Right. Let's get the rails on first, shall we? Now, if you've never done this before, you're going to want to take the carriages off the rails themselves. Where you do that is by just placing one of our dummy rails, which there is an STL for, in the project files that we send out. You're just going to slide these off and onto the dummy rails. Right. They should be fairly stiff. If they've shrunk too much from printing and they feel a bit loose, it's all right. Just make sure you're not throwing them about so that the plastic bits can get removed by accident. Prior to this step, you should actually grease your rail carriages as well. I'm not doing it here because these came lubricated from the factory. Not from the factory, from LDO. I think Dave over at LDO actually used these parts to build his Milo, because some of them have some scratches on them. Some of the parts have some scratches on them and stuff like that. But he was using it to build his test part, and then he sent them to me afterwards. Need one more of these. So, let me remind myself what size of everything I need. I need some M3 by 10s. Where are my M3 by? These M3 by 10s. These are indeed M3 by 10s. Right. Anyways, anyone been up to anything fun they want to share on stream today? Depot. Allen keys for this bit. I'm trying to keep my big head out of the way as much as possible, guys. I just need to get used to, to working like this with the camera above my head now. Got my cereal for Trident. I'm hyped to find time to continue fiddling with my Milo, especially after someone machine steal. Yep, that would be Phil. Not only did he decide to mill steel on a desktop CNC, he decided to mill high carbon steel, knife maker steel, which is impressive to say. Ballsy, and impressive. Something tells me people aren't going to start making steel 3D printers, though. Right, if you haven't done so already, sign yourself off and chat, just so that we know you're here. I see 6 people, and I've only seen 3 people introduce themselves. Come on, guys, don't be shy. We're all friends here, unless we're not. Unless you owe me money. Right, I'm gonna try something a bit new. See if you guys prefer it. Is it a little bit better when it's zoomed in or zoomed out? What do people prefer? Getting zoomed in a little bit just so you can see what's going on a little bit more. Yes, zoom. Perfect. I do have an automatic zoom in OBS, so I can do stuff like that. You'll lose a little bit of quality, but you should be able to see things a little bit better. And then when I have stuff on the other side of the table, I can do that. So we'll stick with this view at the moment. You're going to have a little less quality when it's like this, but at least you can see what's happening a little bit more. I feel like I've said this a few times now, but I'll repeat it just for people who are watching for the first time. You don't need to fill every single spot on the rails. It's not designed for that. So what you can do is you can just skip every other. Save yourself some screws if you're self-sourcing. If you're wondering why I'm tightening everything, I'm putting screws in now and not putting the alignment tools on first. It's just so that I know that they're all biting. I'm not tightening them down fully. I'm just doing it with a loose fit. That way the rail alignment guides will actually will move them into place after the fact. And just like if you're building a PC, you should always go from the outside screws then to the inwards, tightening in that similar pattern. And that's just to stop you from overly tightening one side and kicking the rail up. Right. Hopefully you guys can see that, but these rails are still loose. They do still move. Threadlock, I'm not using threadlock on this build, Bleach, because I am going to be tearing it apart fairly soon afterwards, and using the best bits from the LDO kit, and the best bits that I have. So I have steel FMJs. The LDO kit only comes with aluminium ones, which is more than enough, but I'm just going to be breaking the two kits apart and combining the best bits of each. So there's no point in me Loctiting everything if it's all going to come apart soon anyway. Awesome. So we can put that to the side for now. And what we're going to do is we're going to work on the XY plate a little bit. Give me 1 second, I just need to grab the carriages from the X gantry. Awesome. Right, if you don't know, there is a direction for this part here. And the easiest way to actually check it is just to grab this piece, which is the X to Y part over, and it should not have a gap here. Right, if you pass them through. Right, that really did snap into place. I'll try and show you what it's. Oh no! Well, some of those parts broke off. It's all right. Yeah, if you try and do it on the other side, it won't fit. That's the correct side. Yeah, I seem to have broken some parts off it. That's all right. I will reprint that another time and work it off screen. It won't actually affect much anyway. All right, now we'll put it to the side. I'll manage to break another piece, and we'll get these going. All right, remind myself which screws I need for it. And 3x5. Just gonna make a small mark, just so I can tell which side is which. Man, I'm actually managed to break all 4 of these off. Huh. I knew these were fragile, but I didn't think they were that fragile. Oh well. It'll have to be something we deal with later. I might actually have a spare part of that somewhere. No. No, we'll deal with it another time. Deal with it another time. Right, for now, let's get some of these blocks in. We need some M3x5mm screws. There's some M3x8s there. And 3x5. So these will be the rails for the y-axis. I tend to just put the two that are required in the corners first on both the blocks and the rails. The back ones you won't be able to do that with, just because you need longer screws on this back row here. Need longer screws on this back row here than you do for the other ones. So I'm gonna put two in on each carriage for now. Sometimes I feel like I need optimizers to actually get any of this stuff done. Right, how's music volume for everyone? All good? It shouldn't have changed from last time, but you never know. It's one side done. And now we're doing the X direction blocks. And these are M3x10. Music's good. Hey, Rafus. Right. Going back into my head, just so you guys know, the thought process of putting multiple different size screws on either side of these plates. It was back in the day where I was listening to it was some YouTube creator where it was they were talking about designing things so that you can't mess them up, so that the end user can't mess them up as easily. And it was the whole point of, if you have to put different size screws for it to work on either side, you're making it impossible for the end user to mess it up. Yeah, I'm not gonna go with that when I'm designing things for V2, because I kind of realized that you guys have your heads screwed on fairly well. The average maker does, at least. So instead of making it harder for you, just in the effort to not mess it up, I'm just going to make it as easy as possible as I can. And that way you don't have to keep swapping between loads of different screws. How's things? Things are good. Things are good. Well, as good as they can be. I've had the whole of this week off because I've been sick. I've had fairly minor chest infection, but I just didn't feel good enough to go to work, so had most of the week off. Other than that, not been too bad. Back in work tomorrow, and then out camping on Sunday night. Gonna be fun. If any of you are coming to Murph this year, just a quick reminder. No, not Murph. Smurf this year. Just a quick reminder, 2nd of December, I believe it is. We will be there. LDO has kindly sponsored a booth for us to go. We'll be showing off not this Milo, but the Milo that I'm going to make from the amalgamation of parts that I have. Hopefully they'll let us actually cut something on the stage, on the convention floor. Otherwise, we'll just have to work around it. We can make a can cycle of something. Awesome. Right, and I'm also going to need some longer M3s. It'll be M3 by 20. Oh, you beauties, LDO. First things first, there is a sacrificial layer on the top of each one of these. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drive an M3 through it real quick. Hopefully this is the right tool. Just to break those sacrificial layers. What do people think about the new time slot for streaming? Is it a bit better for most people? I'm going to try and start streaming regularly on a Friday. Sorry, not on a Friday. On either a Saturday or a Sunday. Friday's going to be a bit difficult, sorry. Just because it's normally the day I have D&D on. But days I don't have D&D, I think it's probably going to be a good day to stream on for most people. I think 9:15 is a good compromise because it means that people who get off early in the US can come home, chill out, watch the stream, and actually join us. And I do believe most of the people that are in the Discord are from the US. So it'll probably be better for those guys. And it also means that people in the UK still have a chance to watch if they really wanted to. I really do not like M3 washers. They serve a purpose, but hey, I don't like them. They're just so fiddly to work with. Similar thing to the rails if you're tightening these parts down. Always tighten from the outside in. So both the screws on the outside first, then the two in the middle. Be careful with these. I know you really want to. A lot of people feel like they need to crank down on them, but if you do that, you will break the plastic bits, plastic parts that they sit on. Don't worry too much about them being ultra tight. You can get away with it. The ones that you will want tight are the ones that are directly bolted into the blocks, though. Awesome. Now, once more, we can stick that to the side. And we're going to go prep some nut blocks. Actually build them up. Blocks there. I'm going to need some inserts. Soldering iron and the actual blocks. Oop. What are you doing, camera? Why are you spazzing out? When you turn on your soldering iron, your camera blacked out for a fraction of a second. Oh god. That's not too good. Oh well. Oh, also got that soldering iron way too hot. That was way too hot. I'm just going to take the opportunity, there was a little bit of squeeze out on these, to just cut some of that squeeze out off. Awesome. Right, we're not done just yet. We'll do the other M5s for the X-axis block. Right, hot things are hot. I've just learned something. And now I'm going to need some M3 inserts. Lovely. Awesome. Now, you may notice that when you do these inserts, you might have an issue with the squeeze out passing through the walls into the center bore, and then your nut block not being able to fit. If that does happen, all you need to do is run a 10mm drill bit through it, which I'm going to do in a second, and that just clears that bore out for you. If you're wondering why it's a 10mm bore and not an 8mm bore for 8mm lead screws, it's because you're sitting the nut in there and not the lead screw itself. And the lead screw nut is 10mm. Yep. Should make it easy enough to slide these nuts. Like a glove. Awesome. Right. I'll leave that step until after I've done the rest of the heat inserts, just so I can turn my soldering iron off and watch all the power come back to my computer. Getting really paranoid looking back at my camera because it's the only place I can mount it. On all I see for a split second is the back of my head. I don't know whether or not I'm doing any weird faces or anything that you guys can see. Awesome. And then I'll need some M3x8s, which I have out already, don't I? There we go. Right, so there is a trick to these to set the preload on them. I'll show you guys how to do that exactly in a minute. But for now, all you need to know is that one of the sides can be tightened down completely. Absolutely completely. Don't over tighten them because you'll pull that insert out otherwise if you do, and you really don't want that happening. For the other side though, make sure that you leave it fairly loose in there. Talking about the screws that screw them in. Right, because you want that nut to be able to move. If you're doing this with Loctite, like you really should be doing, for the nut that you're not tightening all the way, leave it unloctited for now, and then add Loctite once you've pre-tuned it. But do it one screw at a time. Right, once you've got both nuts in, one loose side, one tight side, you're going to grab your threaded rod, add a little bit of either grease or oil to it, and I'll go with grease. And you can either add grease directly to the rod, or you can do what I'm going to do and put it in the fixed side nut. Just a dab will do. Awesome. And then you're going to go in from the fixed side. So currently this is the fixed side I have, that's the loose side. Going to go in from the fixed side and run your screw through a little bit. Now this is setting the preload of it. Now, if you get to a point where you've run it all the way through and you can't get the nut to thread into the screw, back that nut off a few turns, right? And that should allow you to actually keep pushing it through, right? If you get to a point where it's going through, but it takes a lot of force to do it, loosen those screws off a little bit, the screws holding the nut in place, until they spin fairly easily. Now this is all to do with feel, I'm afraid. There is no magical way of determining these. You just gotta kind of keep going. The smoother it is, the less force you'll need to get higher speeds. The harder it is, the less backlash you'll have. Raffers, cable chains arrive tomorrow. Arrive finally. Hopefully, start wiring tomorrow. Ooh, very nice, very nice. Talk to me about your build, Raffers. Are you going FMJ? I assume you are. Most people do. What kind of motors are you using for a start? You going with the LDO ones? And most important question of all, what do you plan to do with the build? You build it for a specific reason. Ah, who's this motors? Okay, so you're in the UK then, or Europe. Yeah, I think you got the 2 amp ones then, rather than the 2.8 amp ones. Oh yeah, shit, I remember talking to you about this before. My bad. Awesome. So, he's now to a point where I'm happy with them. And the preload is set. Do you wonder why we need preload? Preload just basically means that you have less backlash. It's the way we compensate for backlash with Milo. So you have both sides of the thread engaged at all times. Whereas, so technically these aren't actually anti-backlash nuts, they're zero backlash nuts. Anti-backlash nuts tend to have a little spring mechanism or something that's spring-like, which pushes both ends of the threads up against the ends of the thread on the rod. You do see a little bit of variation with them, and they wear down over time. They fail catastrophically, and you can't adjust them. These you can adjust them over time as the threads on the inside wear down, and they provide technically zero backlash because it's the mechanical pulling of the threads together on either side, which is your anti-backlash. I'm gonna need some M5x16s. I'm gonna need... Oh, yours is the HGH15 build. You've really helped me out with that little discovery. I didn't know HGH was a thing. So I do appreciate that and letting me know, because I'm actually going to use that in a future build. I thought it was just HGH and... Sorry, not HGH, MGN and... oh, what are the big ones called? I always forget what the big ones are called. The really huge high wind ones. It's MGN and... completely slipped my mind. If you know, stick it in chat. HGR, I think it is. Really expensive and really big for the higher loads. HGH is somewhere in the middle of the two, aren't they? And these are the same on both sides. Yes, they are. I think HGH are the rails and HGR are the blocks. I think it's vice versa. I think it's the other way around. HGH are the blocks and HGR, but you can get HGR 20 carriages as well, which are more expensive than the H. I think the rail is compatible between HGH and HGR, but there are HGR carriages and there are HGH carriages as well. Because I looked into it a while ago, but they're really expensive for the carriages for HGR, I think. I could be getting this all wrong. I'll have a quick browse for it. Oh no, you were right. HGR is the rail. HGW is loving the LDO kit. Hi, Tin Man, by the way. Yes, it looks really nice. It's gonna go well with the David's patented black on black color scheme. Yes, I am stealing this off of David. If you don't know who David is, he's a guy on the Millennium team, design team. He also has a YouTube channel. Go check him out. It's all on the Discord stuff. Oh. Awesome. Right, so that is what I'm going to call the core done for the XY plate. Before we go any further, I'm going to remember to actually put the M3 heater inserts in these. I forgot to do that on my last build, and it cost me. Darth Milo. Yes, I like that. How you been, Tin Man? How's the bike? Or what are you calling it? All-terrain vehicle? ATV? The lady catcher? The Beast. That's the name of my... No. Nope. Shouldn't say that on stream. Really shouldn't say that on stream. Millennium Blackbird. God. As long as it's not the Millennium Bluebird. Suppose a lot of Americans don't know what bluebird means here. Means there, other than the actual bird itself. Do you guys know what Bluebird is? The Bluebird incident? Was that a British thing? I'm not talking about just the animal, no. Everyone knows what a bluebird animal is. It's going fairly well, some faster than electrical, and maybe the new frame will be moving under its own power this week. Oh, do you really rebuild the frame entirely? Did you redesign it? I've been seeing a bunch of the stuff that you've been putting on the Discord for it. I think out of everyone, you've had the most use out of Milo. Other than Phil, maybe, but I think Phil's been doing kind of trinkety stuff. Mostly. Whereas you've been actually putting it to the test. Putting the stuff that you make to the test. What's it powered on? I know it's a BLDC of some kind. Yeah, the prototype needed lots of machine parts. It was the reason I built... Yeah. Fair enough. Sorry, what was the question? My dogs are noisy. I can't even remember what the question was either. See, this is where ADHD gets you. You completely forget what you said 20 seconds ago, and it makes you look like you're a dementia patient. Should probably do this so you guys can see what I'm doing. I'm not used to having this camera here. What something was made with. Oh yeah, is it made with a BLDC for the main motor, the main electrical motor? And also, you're using your own battery packs? Like, have you made your own battery packs for it, or? Building those to make water cooling blocks for these. Ooh! Specifically, the water cooling blocks, are you trying to make the rest of the VZ bot as well? Because I know a lot of it's, not 3D printable, but machinable. You know, it's a Jake stream when the hammer comes out. Something's happened. Okay, yeah. If it's so hot you need water cooler, I'm guessing you're running 48 volts or something like that. Ah, shit. Something's going on inside of this. Oh God, that's a fairly bad. Seem to have lost a fair few balls on one of the rails. One of the carriages. Yeah, it's hard anodizing on these. Like, it's a fairly thick layer of anodizing. Awesome. Right, any more balls come out? One there. I think I only lost 4. It's alright. They're easy enough to put back in. Yeah, that should do it. I'm gonna need another one of these though, just to keep it safe. You know what, I actually might use, instead of using the those, I might use the actual rails from the Z-axis to a bit to milling the anti-backlash nut. Yeah, it'll be stiffer if you do. That's about it. There'll be less elasticity in the system. So there's gonna, if you think about it, like an object hitting a rubber band that's tied between 2 points. You're gonna get to a point where the elastic's gonna bend down for a split second, and then it's going to reach equilibrium. So the actual system itself will reach equilibrium, and that's whatever hit the elastic will just stop where it is. And think of it like this: it's going to get to that point eventually, but it might take a while to get to that point, and that's what you're going to get. That's the benefit you'll get from a machined version of that. Instead of hitting a rubber band, it's just going to hit a metal or solid piece of something that's going to get to that point exactly on time. So there is a benefit to it. It's not much of one, but it's, yeah, not worth doing. My backlash has slowly been increasing over time and I had to disassemble. Okay. That will happen just because these nuts do tend to dry out over them. Oh, I found another ball. They do tend to wear out. That's the issue with this style of zero backlash. They'll wear down a bit quicker. Oh god, why aren't you coming off? I need to cut this piece. Oh, no, I got it. So I'm going to replace the plastic pieces with just some straight up rails from the Z-axis. And that's just going to stop them from getting accidentally crushed. Maybe I need to use epoxy instead of Loctite. Oh, the nut itself, yeah, no, it's the nut that's wearing down. Remember, wherever you've got two different hardnesses of material, drastically different hardnesses of material, you'll see wear at that point. So you've got a brass nut, and you've got a steel lead screw, right? And there's friction up against them. Make sure everything's greased up appropriately, obviously. The better lubrication you have, the longer it'll last. Or, like you've already done, replace them every, I don't know, 500 hours, something like that. Not even maybe not 500, every 100 hours to be, if you want peak performance, but you should be able to get away with that by just adjusting them. Right, I'm going to stack the deck in my favor a little bit and make this a little bit easier for me to get onto these rails. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the last piece tight, fully. I'm going to loosen up all the ones in front of it just slightly, just so they'll move slightly. Do it only on one rail though, right? The other rail, don't touch it. Let's leave that as it is. All right. Well, that should help do. Let's make it a little bit easier to. There we go. All right, and then go back and tighten everything up again. Remember to do it outside in. The rear one was already tight, so I didn't need to tighten that one up. So you're going to do front to back, front back, front back, front back until everything is tight. Right. Give it a quick pull across, make sure that it feels decent. That feels good to me. And also a shake from side to side. At this point, go to the top and tighten all of these down, all the exposed screws down as much as you can. And what that will do is just ensure that they don't loosen up later on. Right? Give it one last check, make sure that the tightening hasn't messed with anything, and you're good to go. So that's the Y-axis, the XY plate for the Y-axis done. We're not going to touch it again until we get to the X-axis, the actual XY plate. What we will do is we'll reinstall this. so that nothing goes flying. Awesome. Right. Now, bearing stack time. We talked about this last time as well, but just to repeat, you have two types of main bearing in Milo. There are flanged and there are unflanged bearings. Now, flanged always go on the complete outside of a bearing stack. Unflanged always goes on the inside of a bearing stack. If there are some parts that don't have any flanged ones inside them, don't worry too much about that. Just go with the regular 608s at that point. If you don't know which parts those are, it's the Z-axis nut block and the Z-axis motor mount, I believe, if I can remember correctly. Awesome. Right, and we need soldering iron again real quick. And we're going to do the M2.5 inserts. Now, you heard me correctly there. M2.5. These are for the Omron switches. Right? Don't get them mixed up by accident and put an M3 block in there. Not block, an M3 heat insert in, because they will not fit and you'll have to drill out your Omron switch or reprint the part to get them to work. Now, these are small inserts. They don't require that much heat because they will heat up very quickly and you can end up burning the insert point on them. So just be careful with them. You don't need to dump a bunch of heat into them, and you need to just as quickly as you can. Right, I think that leaves us with the motor up next. I'll need some M5x30 screws. M5x30, awesome. I'm going inductive probe instead of switches. Fair enough. Just be careful because your inductive probes could be set off by things like chip buildup. Make sure that there is no, that there is absolutely no chips or anything near the inductive probe whenever you're home, or on any of the parts that it could accidentally touch. Because if you're using that home as a method to re-zero a part between operations or something like that, if it detects an aluminium chip by accident, you're going to end up probing off of that instead of the actual home point, and you could ruin parts like that. That's the reason we went with the micro switches in the first place, because there's less likelihood of them messing up from the switches. That's from the aluminium chips. It's still there, but it's less likely. What I'm actually going to do on this was I'm not going to put the motor on the end like in the manual just yet. I'm just going to thread this through as it is and then put the motor on afterwards, because this motor mount is a lot easier to put on the first time. Sorry, not the first time. It's a lot easier to put on than the old one was. Right. And hopefully you guys can see there's a little bit of gap left there. I'm not going to put it straight through. Just remember that you will need to get some locking collars, which are in another box over there. Give me 1 second. You need to put your locking collars on there before you thread it through. Otherwise, you're going to have to unthread it all and put it through later on down the line. Most of the grub screws on these have fallen out, or they've just come like this. I think they've just fallen out in shipping. Once I started using tools to the probe, I found that the micro switch precision was no longer a factor. Yeah, if you're using a tool probe, or where you can probe between operations, it's fine. But if you're not probing in between operations, then you still got to kind of deal with the fact that you might be off because of things hitting your home switches. Awesome. Now I can go for the motor. Right. If you want to, what this little cutout is at the top of your Y motor mount, it's specifically there so that you can tighten the these parts down without having to take the whole machine apart. The lock collars down. Sorry, not spider connectors. Oh, get your terminology right today, Jake. It's been awful. God. This is why I hate being sick. Where did I put the motor? I swear I brought a motor over. Ah, there it is. Wait. Now the motor can go on. And I can push this whole assembly forward, just like that. And then put the screws through. Bigger Allen key. Any plans to fit bellows and weight covers? Not on 1.5, no. It's something we're thinking about on V1. Sorry, not on V2. But we're not going to be doing it on V1.5. If you want to, get some rubber bellows or some rubber matting, something like that. And that's probably going to be your best bet. You see them a lot on DIY big CNCs. Or if you don't have one of those, go to a bar. We normally have, I have one over here, you can't see it. But as a desk mat, as a mouse mat, instead of having a proper mouse mat, I just have a neoprene bar mat. And it's quite a long one, and you can cut those up, clamp them onto your axes, and they'll work just as good as any rubber bellows would. The issue is you really need to design for bellows from the beginning, and weight covers as well. especially if you're using like the telescopic wave covers. Right. So, going back to some good news. If you were here last stream, you'll know I managed to destroy the LDO handles that they sent us, the really nice metal ones. I managed to destroy one of those sets. I've since then managed to fix it. Well, slightly repair it. Not really completely fix it. Yes. Yes, Raffers, if you didn't know, V2 is in the works. It's not going to be for a long time, though. We'll give V1.5 enough time to soak and get some kits out and things like that. We're just kind of going through the beginnings of the ideas of V2. Alright, so that is the first axis motion. Casa making progress. Casa is expensive. I've got some extrusions for it, not all of them. I've got the stuff. You might have seen it in older streams. I've got the table ready for Casa. So that's a whole extrusion thing of its own. And that cost me nearly 300 quid to do. So the top of Casa is going to be roughly 250 just in aluminium extrusions for me. 200 to 250. So I'll get that done. I'm just slowly putting that money together to get that. Yeah, 300. Yep. No. Yes, 300. If I'm remembering that correctly. I have the sheet here, actually. It was a while ago that I put this together. Extrusions are expensive in the UK. No, I don't have... I have the shipping list, but I don't have the receipt lying around. Let's see if I can get the actual price. Sorry. it was £219, right? So I was off by quite a bit there. £219 for so for just clear anodized aluminium extrusions. I think it was like nearly double, more than double that, I think, actually, for black anodized parts. So I'm going to have a silver Casa, which is fine. I'm not too bothered by that at all. So Casa itself, because it's thinner extrusions, but there's more of them, will probably be about 200, 250 all in all, is my guess after that. But then it's going to be the plexiglass on top of that, the plywood that I need to put on here as a base as well. A lot of stuff. It's gonna add up, and I've had yeah, I've had some unexpected things happen in the last few weeks, as seemed to always be the case around here. But other than that, this looks pretty good. If you can't see what I'm actually spinning this with, it is one of the aluminium handles from LDO. These things are great. I just can't fit it on the table without having, I can't use it and have it on the table at the same time because it hangs under the extrusion. Silver is sexy too. Yes, it is. And for what it is, it's gonna be absolutely fine to have it as silver. So I'm not too fussed. Right. So it is very smooth so far. The y-axis is now pretty much complete. The x-axis is complete. Virtually. I still need to thread the actual x-axis on. Which we can do probably another time. For now, right, I'm going to tidy everything up, get this put away. Beginning of the next stream, we'll probably slide the x-axis on, so we'll have x and y-axis completed, and then we'll go straight onto the z-axis. Yeah? Anything else that anyone wants to talk about before we call it a night? How's the new time for you, Tin Man? Is it a bit easier to get to streams on your side? I know you're always here, but it's a bit easier now it's an hour later in the day, rather than it being in the middle of the day for you guys. This works well. Awesome. Right. Other than that, I hope you guys have had a fantastic bloody day. I hope everything's going well for you guys at home. If you do want to support me, there are links to all my pages down the bottom. You've got Patreon down there, there's a PayPal down there. If you also want to give a little bit of help to the other guys on the team, I will hopefully try and add to the description Phil's channel and Dave's channel. Once Tin decides that he's good enough to actually get a channel, I'll link that one in the description as well. I hope you guys have a fantastic evening. Good night.